What's up with the what's ups, prayers and blessings. Yo, today I'm gonna talk about this, right? I'm gonna title this one, When Boundaries Make You the Bad Guy. So a lot of people walking around here and they feel like they're the bad person, right? All behind manipulation. All behind because someone wants to control you, right? And when they can't control you, they use manipulation to try to make you feel guilty. And then you walking around here feeling like you've done something wrong. You can't sleep. You're up all night letting the conversation play over and over and over again in your head. And it becomes weight on your life. It becomes a burden to your peace. You know? It's not healthy. And today we're gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna try to help you come up with some ways to deal with it, to handle it, to structure an outcome so that you don't have to carry that weight. So you don't have to walk around feeling like you've done something wrong when all you did was, try to be there for someone, but due to the fact that it didn't go the way that they planned it, they try to manipulate you and make you feel like you're the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? See, you're only the bad guy when the access that you have is short. Meaning that when there's no access to your love, when there's no access to your emotions, when there's no access to your money, then you stem to be this bad person. And sometimes it hurts even more when it comes from a loved one, opposed to coming from a stranger. Because when it comes from a stranger, you be over it by dinner. When it comes from someone you love, you carry it because in your mind, you asking yourself, what did you do to either hurt someone you love, or why they, viewing you in such a space, whereas though, you meant well. But there's some people who just can't move forward from that. And I want you to ease that pain somehow. I want to help you ease that pain somehow. You have to understand this, right? And when you take away the access from people, right? And they try to use things, they try to take your past, your flaws, your mistakes, and they shoot them at you from a place of not healing. It's coming from a place of chaos. You know what I'm saying? Why would they use some things some of your flaws against you when they're trying to get you to do something they want? It's called leverage. They feel like they can use all your flaws, all your mistakes, everything that you didn't do for them as a leverage to get you to move for them. And then they have you second guessing yourself and questioning yourself, asking yourself, well, what did I do wrong? What did I say? When no, you in your mind, you was asking for clarity, to verify. Somebody ever asked you to do something for them, and then you want to verify some things before you move forward, but because you wanted to verify it, they looked at it as like you didn't trust them. But they have to understand, you coming to me for something, and I'm just verifying or clarifying or getting a better clarification on what's going on, and then they use that as leverage to try to make you feel bad. It's nothing but manipulation. You can't, and you should not wear that. That should not disrupt your peace. That should not put you in a space where as though you beating yourself up at night, during the day, at work. You know what I'm saying? You feeling like you've done something to someone that you love. Because like I said, when it comes down to someone that you love, it seems to hold more weight. It seems to linger on. Opposed to a stranger, you could brush it off. And it's all because things didn't play out the way they thought it was going to play out in their head. They had you bowing down, you know, and moving. They was trying to control the situation. You know what I'm saying? They was using a remote to control you, and you didn't respond the way they thought you was gonna respond. So now you just bad, you know, individual. You know what I'm saying? And then you start telling yourself that you're a bad individual. You start telling yourself, well, maybe I ain't the person I thought I was. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm not who, maybe I am bad. Maybe I'm, you know, manipulation goes a long way. And it can carry a lot of weight, a lot of pain. And some of us humans, that we don't know how to deal with it because we have a kind heart and a soft heart. You know what I'm saying? And we want to be there for the ones we love. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with being there for someone you love. But you have to ask yourself, is it love coming from them? You know what I'm saying? It's easy for you to turn it off and say, you know what? I just won't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? But are you growing? You know what I'm saying? You have to grow, because the trial and the tribulation is coming. That's trial and tribulation. Trials and tribulations don't necessarily have to be a loss. You know what I'm saying? A loved one loss or financial loss. You know what I'm saying? You going through it with someone in your life that you care about, that's a trial and tribulation. But that's where your discipline has to stand firm. You know what I'm saying? That's where you have to own your identity of who you are as a person. That's when you have to, you know, watch what you say, because sometimes in the midst of it, your anger, your emotions could come out. You could say some things that your spirit gonna have to, you know, clean up later. It's sad that it's set out that way though, right? It's sad that, you know, someone would try to manipulate you to do the things they want them to do, and when you don't, they tell you that you ain't who you say you are. Another way that people try to manipulate you is comparison, right? They'll try to compare what somebody else did for them to you. Well, so-and-so did this and so-and-so did that, and you ain't do this and you ain't do that. Okay, and you have to come to the point to understand this. You ain't so-and-so, you ain't them, I'm not them. You know what I'm saying? And they put themselves in a position where as though you don't want to do nothing for them because they show you their true color, right? But my whole point is, if you're a strong individual, you're going to get past it. You're going to see the manipulation coming a mile away. You're going to see the nonsense, and you're going to be like, here they go with that nonsense again. But there's some people out here who can't handle it, and they carry that weight on their shoulders, and it stresses them out, and it does damage daily. I wrote down some responses, right? I wrote down some things that possibly could help someone out there to deal with it, because we know the problem. The problem is manipulation. The problem is leverage. The problem is if you don't do it the way I want you to do it, if you ain't doing what I asked you to do, then they want to make you feel bad. They want to use guilt. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not strong enough, you'll wear that. You'll be looking in the mirror asking yourself, am I selfish? You know what I'm saying? Am I this bad person that this person is making me out to be? You know what I'm saying? Not knowing that they're doing more damage to you than they think they are, because they're doing damage to the situation, because now they're putting a wedge in between you and their relationship, and you don't even want to have nothing to do with them anymore. So now they're just putting that olive branch further away from each other. They hurting the situation because you're starting to see their true colors. Nobody that would love you would take your flaws and use them against you. Nobody come to you to ask you to do something for them. And because you ain't going about it the way that they want to go about it, they get upset and try to use some things against you. Try to compare what you do for them to someone else so that you try to find ways to hurt you verbally. I wrote this down, right? And hopefully this can help someone so that, number one, I don't want you to wear this. I don't want you walking around here thinking that you're a bad individual because someone else said you are. Because someone else has a remote trying to control you and you fail to do what they ask. You fail to comply. You know what I'm saying? Or you're just trying to do it. You don't mind helping, but you're trying to do it your way. And the people in this world have a way of being nasty. And there's women out here and there's men out here who can't take it. And they walk around with that. And you're interrupting their peace. And their peace is being disturbed. And they carrying it. And they asking themselves, what am I doing wrong? And before you know it, that be to push them to the limit where they hurt themselves. They start feeling like they lose the value in who they are. And do damage to themselves. Because of something that someone else said. Because they can't have their way with them. First thing you should do when someone comes at you and it puts you in a rage and it puts you in a situation where it's all about structuring your peace. You know I'm firm on protecting my peace. You know I'm firm on being peaceful, keeping the nonsense and the shenanigans to the left. So the first thing I think you should do is pause before you respond, right? Do not respond while your emotions is driving. The anger will make you say some things that your spirit will have to clean up later. We human, we make mistakes. We'll lash out, defending ourselves. We'll say some things that, only fit right for the occasion. We coming right at their neck. But knowing who you are and the person that you are, it ain't gonna sit right with you anyway. So they came and disturbed your peace, right? Then you fell into the pattern and lashed out with them and added to the disturbance on your peace because now you feel like what you said wasn't right. You can't sit, bro. It's not gonna sit well with you because they took you out of character. So before you do that, just relax, pause. Get back to them at another time. Leave them alone. Don't even send a text. Don't even respond. Don't say nothing. Let them have their way and keep it moving. Enjoy the rest of your day. Because the whole thing is about boundaries. You setting them. And every time you set a boundary, it don't sit well with the ones that used to handling you any old kind of way. Because you're aware. You are aware of the shenanigans. Number 2. In the midst of action, when they're coming at you, or they're trying to talk down on you, and using that leverage, your past, the person that you don't even see that person when you look in the mirror no more. And they're trying to use that leverage, stop over explaining yourself. Some people don't want to understand. They want the weakness in your explanation so they can argue with it. You trying to explain, and they trying to find holes in it. They trying to find holes in your explanation so they can argue with you. They're trying to find holes in your explanation so they can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And what is that doing? That's rattling your peace again. That's shaking up your peace again. That's stopping you from being able to cope again. That ain't what you want. That ain't what you're here for. So stop explaining yourself. They got a saying, right? Philly, explanation is for suckers. Why should you have to explain yourself to somebody else as an adult when you did nothing wrong? Especially when you did nothing wrong. Why are you sitting here explaining yourself to somebody else or what they think you should do and how you should attend to them? and how you should handle your finances or or whatever it is that you're serving. Whatever service that you could be to them, if you're not serving them the way that they want to be appeased, and it's coming out in a negative manner, all they're doing is looking for holes in your explanations so they can argue with it. So that's doing nothing but rattling your peace more. Number 3, don't let somebody's reaction become your identity. Sit with that right quick. Do not let someone's reaction become your identity. Just because they say you're selfish, it doesn't mean you are. Just because they say they're disappointed in you, it doesn't mean you did something wrong. Just because they told you that you don't care, it doesn't mean that you don't care. Do not let somebody else's reaction become the identity of the person that you are. This message today came from experience. This message came from me understanding that I'm not the only one that go through things in life. I'm not the only one to experience things. And if I go through something, and I'm not the only one that has those mistakes to carry those things, to allow someone to rattle my peace, to allow someone to shake me up. So I had to sit down and reevaluate myself. So I figured if I found a way to deal with it, then I wanted to help someone else out there in the world, because I know that things in life, it just goes in a rotation. I go through it, somebody else go through it, somebody else go through it, somebody else go through it. So therefore, I want to speak upon that to help someone else overcome this, so they're not battling with themselves when they look in the mirror. So they're not battling with their loved ones. So they're not beating themselves up, asking themselves why they're such a bad individual. So they're not holding themselves accountable for some actions that's thrown their way from someone who's trying to manipulate them into doing some things their way. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Prayers and Blessings, the podcast, where faith, flavor, and focus feeds the soul. Remember, hug someone and tell them you love them. They just might hug you back and tell you they love you. I'm just saying, I'll let your boy. Yeah.